Good morning. Yesterday I started our Lenten sermon series, In the Room Where It Happened, looking at those who were in the upper room that night of the Last Supper and how it had such an impact on their life. I said I wanted to look at a different disciple every week as we now move through the season of Lent. And we started it all off by looking at Andrew. Andrew's such an interesting disciple of Jesus. Actually, in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, those three Gospels, Andrew is only mentioned one time, and that is in Jesus' call to come, follow me. It's in John where we really learn a lot more about Andrew, how Andrew was actually a disciple of John the Baptist, and when he came to see Jesus, he came to sit in his presence and was so overwhelmed and moved by the Spirit of Christ that he immediately went back and found his brother, Simon Peter, and told him, "We have found the Messiah." It was Andrew who brought Peter to Jesus. It really would become the theme of his life, helping to bring people into the presence of Christ, coming to know the gift of God's love. We looked at that on Sunday, what Andrew was doing, and then after the crucifixion and the resurrection, it was Andrew in a spirit of trusting in God's grace, full of hope, leading into an unknown future, who went out and began to preach. He would ultimately be in Russia and in Turkey and in Greece. It's in Greece that he would ultimately be crucified. That's where he would be martyred. It's fascinating that he has been chosen to be the patron saint of Russia, Ukraine, Romania, Greece. Those all make sense because it appears that Andrew actually was in some of those areas preaching and bringing the Spirit of Christ through that. But the one I lifted up Sunday that I thought was really interesting is he's the patron saint of Scotland. Now, how in the world did Andrew become the patron saint of Scotland? Well, it all goes back to a monk named Saint Regulus. Some people call him Saint Rule. Again, it's not real clear, but it may have been more around 700. That it turned out that the Roman emperor was going to move the remains, the body, the bones of St. Andrew from Patras, Greece, where he had been crucified, to Constantinople. St. Rule didn't think that was right. It wasn't a good idea. He had a dream, and the dream said, collect bones of St. Andrew's and hide them. And so he did, before the body could be moved to Constantinople. And then he had another dream. And the dream said, take the bones to safety as far to the west as you can go. Well, he started going. It said, wherever you are shipwrecked, there you will build a church. Now, I'm not sure I'd be excited about that dream that tells me right up front, go and you're going to be shipwrecked. But that's exactly what the dream was. And so legend has it he set off and would ultimately be shipwrecked in Fife, Scotland. Now there was an establishment there of people that had gone back hundreds and hundreds of years. But he brought these relics, part of the bones of St. Andrew. He brought a kneecap, upper arm, 3 fingers, and a tooth. And he brought all of that to this area, and there he founded a monastery. Having part of the body of St. Andrew's was so significant. They ultimately would build a great cathedral around 1100, and people would start making pilgrimages from all over Scotland, but all over Europe. It became one of the largest cathedrals anywhere. And this town, this group of population that had been established, became known as St. Andrews. Today it has a population of about 16,800 people. It did have one of the largest cathedrals ever built there in St. Andrews. Today the relics have been moved to St. Mary's Cathedral in Edinburgh, not very far away. But it created St. Andrews, and I'm going to tell you tomorrow all about the wonderful things that still go on in that area of St. Andrews today. but it's how he became the patron saint of Scotland. And it made me think, why do people go there? Well, there is something about that spirit of Andrew, where Andrew wanted to bring people into the presence of Jesus by the way that he lived. And maybe that's what you and I need to be doing, living in the spirit of St. Andrew, where we are the people who live in such a kind and loving and winsome way that we help bring people into the presence of Christ. Today, you and I can go out and choose the spirit in which we're going to live. And so do it, we're going to help love our neighbor, no exception. Have a great day.